You know, I get so tired. I would think that you would, I guess when you're fighting for your life after you've done something really gross and stupid and ignorant, you'll try anything. But it's just so played out. I'm talking about the Ahmaud Arbery case, and here we go again. The defense is now arguing the victim who you hunted like a dog. Strike that. A dog would have been treated better. You ran him down, you lynched him, you gunned him down, and now you want to act like his past should be part of this thing. And I want to make something clear about people's past, black people's past up in this country right here, okay?
Right.
If the whole system is rotten and stinking and dirty to the core, somebody who has a quote-unquote past with police, interaction, charges, the court system, the justice system in America. Really? I mean, the whole thing is this perpetual rotten fish that is just so disgusting. And here we have, you were so ignorant and dumb and hillbilly racist. You are the ones who recorded your own filthy act. And now you want to bring up what have you done? What have you done in your past? That's what I want to talk about, your past. I want to know what the officer's past and conduct and record is in Mr. Brown's, what his family would say, unjustified killing. What police are claiming was, well, he tried to run us over, but we won't show you the footage. You know, this whole thing is just, we have to just keep raising whatever adjectives we can come up with that get your attention while you're, getting your breakfast or packing your bag or in your car and listening. We have to keep increasing it, because if not, this whole lie about tourists just entering the Capitol on January 6th and there's nothing to see here risks becoming the truth. Not with your girl, okay? Because I can see clearly right and wrong, okay? Right and left, up and down, but other people like to make stuff real flowery. They like to spray perfume on dog doo-doo, right? Or however that thing goes. And it still stinks. It still stinks.
It is. It is what it is. You can put perfume all over it, but it still is what it is. And like you mentioned, when's the last time you heard of a person who wasn't black who was killed by a black person, and that person who was the victim, their past was brought up? When have you heard that? Have you ever heard it? Just simple question. This is the MO, Sharon. This is what happens. This is what happened to Mike Brown. This is what happened to Trayvon Martin. This is what happened to George Floyd. This is now what's happened to Ahmaud Arbery. This is the MO, the playbook. Every time there is a victim, somebody who's been killed, they kill them again once they try to get justice for them, because they try to kill their character. This is what happened. And this is really, and I understand desperation, but this is just, sometimes it's sickening to look at and listen to, because you got to bring up this man who you should be looking at as a victim and mourning with his family and saying he didn't deserve to die. Now you're wasting taxpayers' money just even having this hearing, because guess what? Those three killers, those three murderers did not know about Ahmaud Arbery that day. They didn't know about his past. They didn't know anything about any arrests. They didn't know anything about his mental stability or whatever. They had no idea. You know what they did know, Sharon? You can answer that question. What did they know, Sharon?
Black. He was about black as he could be, running on their turf.
I don't have to say anything else. So when it comes to these types of defenses, it's sickening, but it is something, I guess, as black people, we have just gotten used to, and we still, another thing that we have to overcome.
Yeah, and here's the thing, these three trash boxes really want a self-defense, but the law is pretty clear. I don't need to have, man, she's one bad sister, but I don't need to have Candace Kelly's legal training, her degrees,
not at all,
sanctioned by the state. I don't need to have that to know that if you started it, fool, you don't have that. You don't then get to claim self-defense, fool. Okay, 3 trash boxes. You could say, well, Sharon, can't you use, more highbrow language? No, that's appropriate. 3 trash boxes who went out of their way to execute a black man and hunt him and lynch him because he had the nerve to be in their neighborhood. And by the way, I should have used the N-word, which I don't even like saying it like that. If it's out there, let's just keep it all the way 100, okay? But they stood over his body and said it. And that's what Mr. Arbery heard as he left to go meet his maker. That was his departing word. And so when I think about his mother, who is just a beautiful woman who has been tormented, and she was on Making the Case with Yodi just last week, I believe. Maybe it was this week. They all run together. But she talked about how, okay, so you got rid of, thank you, Georgia, suppressing our voting rights. You got rid of the, citizen's arrest, okay, which really means go grab you a black person and tell them where they're going to be, Karen and Ken, okay, and tell them what is going to happen next. That's really what that was about. But she talked about, thanks for that, antiquated, you-know-what.
Long overdue.
How difficult it's going to be.
Which was used, by the way.
She has to represent
to go get slaves, to rally, to go capture
really
slaves. Go ahead. I'm
Again, know your history, okay? Police, whether you like me saying it or not, the institution of policing in America is what now? It is a descendant of those slave catchers. And so when people say defund the police, don't lecture me, right? Don't lecture us. You know your history. But Ahmaud Arbery's mother said, thank you for doing away with that nonsense. But now I have to go into a courtroom. I have to be there. My son can no longer speak. He should be here. I got to sit there. She said she's never watched that recorded filth to the very end. Could you?
Right.
Could you, God forbid?
No, it'd be almost impossible.
Right. And so she's going to have to live through that torture right in that courtroom, and you're sitting up here talking about his past. Really?
So the 3 defendants went after him in the beginning, they say, because they thought he was breaking into houses that were being constructed. Let me do a comparison for you, because there is a black father who is a veteran in Oklahoma who had a business that was being broken into. He shot and killed somebody that was breaking into his business, caught. He is now facing first-degree murder charges.
Of course,
first-degree murder charges for that. I mean,
no stand your ground, no
but
nothing.
I'm pretty sure. I don't see anything about the person he killed. I don't hear anything about that person's past. I mean, so when we're talking about systemic racism in law enforcement and in the judicial system, this is what we're talking about. It's not just the past. It's about the accountability and the equality. If we can get it, they can get it. And that's all we've been saying.
Yeah, and remember, in Mr. Floyd's murder, remember Judge Cahill kept out that 14-year-old black child who also had a knee to his neck. Right now, there's charges against Chauvin for that. Right, the feds are coming after him for that. If there could ever be a case that, wow, this conduct fits the current conduct he's charged for, you would think instead only Mr. Floyd's past about popping a pill, opioid epidemic that has just ravaged this country, but God forbid Mr. Floyd fall victim to it because he's not entitled to make a mistake. So it's just so sick. And when I am haunted, and I'm ashamed to even say I'm haunted by what happened to Ahmaud Arbery, right? Because nobody's more haunted than his family. But to watch it almost in real time, it's just so, by these fools who look like chromosomes got crossed and everything, it's just so sick. I don't even want to spend a dollar of my tax dollars on these idiots, but they've got to be convicted. And if ever a death penalty, you know how I feel about it, right? You know how I feel about the death penalty. But if you want to go, let's go, baby. You want to go for it? This would have to be the case.
We saw that. We saw that he was hunted down. He was murdered in cold blood. Literally hunted down. And once again, we're going to LaRue Bratcher, that's the 34-year-old father of 5 out in Oklahoma. We're going to keep an eye on that case as well, because once again, it's got to be some equality there.